Hello, my name is Annette DeLu, and you are listening to The Heart of You. Today's episode is about light codes and light language. And I'm here with Maria from Daughter North, and she is going to explain to us a little bit about what light codes are and how they can benefit us in our ascension process, as well as what light language is, and sort of demystifying what that particular gift that some people have and how to work through it and understand that it is something that is really beautiful and it's a gift from the divine. I want to thank you so much for joining me, Maria.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Welcome. I wanted to ask you initially, what is light code healing?
So, light codes are, I like to refer to them almost like our energetic blueprint. When we are sent to Earth, in whatever shape or form we are coming here, any living being will come almost with a manual, with a menu of who you are, what you have been through, what your soul have been through in your previous lives, and also what we are going to go through and the challenges and the lessons that we are going to be put through on this earth. And it all kind of comes with us and it's imprinted into our energetic field, but also into our physical bodies. So this is one part of light codes. Yeah, it's almost like the menu of who we are and what we've been through and what we're going to go through. But then there is a second part of light codes, which are light codes that we adopt. So that can be more of negative light codes, unfortunately, and more low vibrational codes. And that can be distortions, negative beliefs that we have or that we adopt around money, around love, or maybe even just around about the world around us. So every time, as we all know, when we are little children, we are like sponges. We suck everything up. And everything that we learn, everything that we take on, but also as we walk through life, gets again imprinted into our fields, into our bodies. And then we have a third part of light codes, which are actually more physical. So that can be a physical illness or a physical limitation that will often show up within your blueprint or within your energetic field, also as a distorted light code. So a light code that doesn't spin as much as it should be, or maybe there's a little bit of it's not exactly the way that it is. So those are the three different sort of light codes that I work with.
Oh, fantastic. It's really fascinating to know because when I have heard of light codes in the past, I had just heard about sort of the first type of light code that you're talking about, the ones that we come to this earth with, as well as having those light codes presented to us or shown to us through our guides. Can you tell me a little bit more about the light codes that we pick up on in our everyday lives or light codes that are particularly blocked?
Yeah.
Where do those come from? And I know this is part of the work that you do, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you actually heal those things. But if you can kind of tell people a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So a really big one where light codes have a big influence, it's actually with money, because not many people know that money is a whole different sort of frequency and light code frequency than what we are taught. I'm sure, all of us who are spiritually connected, we know that money is so much more than just paper and coins. But money
Right.
is even more than just an energy. Money is kind of want to refer to it like an old ancient energy that was devoted to almost like a godly energy. There's a lot of light codes and there's a lot of light code distortion imprinted into us, both as we come to earth, but also that we adopt. We learn so much about money from our parents, from, the people around us, from how we are being taught to handle money from the school system. So that's a really, really big one. And the second one is also love. And, those are the two biggest energies on earth, actually, money and love. And love is,
Right.
is, is another one where we can very, very easily adopt low vibrational codes from what we are starting to believe. So when we come to Earth, most of our codes are very high vibrational. They are glowing, they are spinning, they are doing the work for us that they need to do. But then as we start to adopt these sort of negative beliefs, or we experience things both as children but also as we grow, those codes then start to not spin us as much, and we start to maybe the codes kind of turn themselves into to distortions, and we start to repeat to ourselves that love will never happen to me, and I don't believe in true love, and all of these things, and that is actually a distortion, and that distortion will be directly connected to a light code within your field. So yeah, I would say money and love are probably the two biggest ones that I tend to work with when it comes to light codes. But also within light code healing goes very much hand in hand with timeline healing as well, also known as past life healing or past life regression healing as well.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And yeah, that is again because we have so much information within our energetic field. So I know we're going to go into it deeper in a little bit, but when I kind of turn it on and I start to look at, the person there in front of me, a lot of time I can see the coding and the programming that has been, imprinted or followed them through the timelines. So a lot of time it's very important to go back and work also into the timelines. And then when we study, it's so much, it's like a spider web, because then when we start to work through the timelines of the person and looking, okay, so you always had these money problems, or you always had, this sort of negative relationship, or attracted the wrong sort of people into your life. And when we start to heal that, we are also starting to heal through the generations. So we're doing ancestral healing as well as working on, everyone of humanity. Because as soon as we do any sort of work on ourselves within the quantum field, light code healing is a sort of variation of quantum healing. We're also healing the collective. So that's why I always thank every single person that come to me for help, because as they are healing themselves, they are actually healing humanity as a collective.
Absolutely. And one of the things that is really, really big is obviously, like you said, the distortions around money, and every single person who can actually understand it for what it is, then they can have as much as they need and have as much abundance as they want, right?
Yes and no. The way that I teach in my courses, when we do our money healing courses, including the light code healing on money, is that if you I'm going to give you something that I don't give that I don't normally talk about outside my
Yeah,
classes,
sure.
but I feel like some of you listening to this, you need to hear this. Imagine the money is your best friend, okay? And imagine then, how are you talking about your best friend? How are you treating your best friend? If you imagine money being a goddess, if you think back to ancient Greece, and they used to have muses, right? So they had a muse for music, they had a muse for theater, they had a muse for poetry, and these muses, they were adored, they were loved, they were given sacrifices, and they were talked to in a very good way. And there actually used to be a muse of money, and she were later destroyed. And this is so sad when you think about it. And I think this is where all of those big money distortions started to sort of take place on Earth, because money was transformed from something that was available to everyone as long as you loved it and cared for it, to a selected few people. And this is where, as well, I do a lot of healing around that, around the scarcity, around everybody sort of think, yeah, but this is what I was given, or my family were only given this much, and this is what we have. That's a distortion, and that's a light code that has been distorted. We can shift that, and we can sort of activate those light codes for that person again, so that they can feel that abundance and understand that, what, as long as I love and I cherish and I respect money, she can be in my life.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, that's great.
If money was my friend, how would I talk about her? I would never say to my friend that she's not enough for me. I would never say to my friend that she never shows up for me when I need her. I would never be talk so negatively and think so negatively about her. So if we don't
Right.
if we don't do that with money, you will start to feel that she wants to be in your life because you treat her well. And then if you do that together with a little bit of upgrade of your money frequencies and your money coding, that abundance that can start to flow to you.
That is incredible. Wow. Thank you so much for that information. I think that's going to help a great many people, actually.
I really hope so. Thank you.
I do have a question, sort of a follow up question, because as you know, I work in the Akashic Records. Are you saying that when you are working through the ancestral lines, when you're working on some of these things that people are overcoming, let's say the patterns from past lives,
Mhm.
you've gotten a session and you know what your past lives were, you can see your patterns. Are light codes almost a separate impression that is in your energetic field that is also something that needs to be dealt with in addition to your conscious awareness of these patterns?
Yes, so I am a channeling medium. So when I connect to somebody, I start by scanning your body to see if there's anything physically going on. This is always where I start to see if there's any light codes actually imprinted in the body, so any disease, any stagnant energy, any calcification of emotions, and we start there. And once I've looked on that, I start to activate your blueprints, your grids. So we have a couple of different grids starting. They sort of circle around the same areas. And of course, everyone is different. This is how I am working now. But the way that I
Right.
see them is that almost different layers. So starting around sort of the crown, and then you have a couple in your brain. And this is a lot about thoughts, thinking, negative patterns of thinking that you might hold, limiting beliefs that you hold about yourself. All of this will show up as codes sort of in the upper layers. And then as I
Mhm.
work my way down, when we get to the throat and the neck, this is where things can come through a lot around childhood. It has a lot to do, with your expression of speaking, with all the weight that we put on you emotionally. This tends to kind of get stuck and imprinted in the fields around the shoulders and around the throat. Around the heart space, this is where a lot of the negative emotional experiences that we might have had in relationships will start to show up. So this is where the light codes that are not working or not supporting you properly when it comes to love and relationships, they will sort of pop up and become visible around the heart chakra. And as we move down through the body, we get down that we can go into the solar plexus area, sort of the middle of the rib cage, and all of those coding there often have to do with the ancestral. We have
Yes.
our ancestral connection in our solar plexus. So this is often once I get there, if there is big timeline healing that needs to be done, this is often where I get pulled in. Unless it might be connected to the heart, if it's more on a relationship level. But once I sort of start to work there and I activate all of the light codes around, it's more like my mediumship comes through and I start to see and experience things that this person have experienced in previous lives. So for example, I was working with a lady who were really struggling to get pregnant. They tried everything and she came to me and we started working together. And by the time that I got to her sort of mid area of the body and I was reading into the codes, there was a little bit of light code healing that I did straight away around the worth that she thought that she would have as a mother. There was a couple of the coding, also physical coding, that was holding her back. But once all of that was cleared and activated and really supporting her to become pregnant, the timelines were starting to come through. And I could see that in every single timeline that she had lived through, she had lost her child. So she was still holding on to and also having the imprints of the light codes that she was not going to be able to keep the child. The child was going to pass. So we had to release those light codes, the beliefs around that she would not be able to care for this child. And it was very, very deep healing and almost trauma work that we started to do and releasing that and then upgrading and imprinting new codes. So new codes of love and security and feeling safe and feeling worthy as a mother and feeling able to be able to do all of the things for your child that you need to do. So one thing kind of led to another, and that's often what happens. We can start to work on something, but the light codes and my channeling mediumship and also the Arcturian Council that I work very closely with, they will come down and they will guide me to what actually needs to be healed. And so I'm very much about really getting to the root of the problem. And very often it has something to do with what's happened before and what we are continually going through and what we need to learn. But the beauty of light code healing is that if there is a lesson that needs to be learned for the person, and that's why this thing keeps happening all the time, that's why we keep
Right.
contracting the bad relationship, the controlling partner, or we keep, losing our job all the time because we're in this cycle because we need to learn something. The beauty with light code healing and the way that I work is that I can actually pick out the lesson that you need to learn, imprint it, release the trauma of the previous experiences, and call back your energy into the present. So we're almost skipping a step, if that makes sense.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's why it's very, very powerful, because you can do so much within this field of light code healing. It's a lot to take in if it's the first time, maybe you hear about this concept. And so I'm more than happy to, if people want to reach out afterwards, they have question, please do, because it is such a beautiful place to play and to co-create. And everyone can do it. It's not just, me or healers or light workers. Everybody has access to light codes.
That's something I often talk about on this podcast, is the fact that it's not just somebody special who has these gifts. Every single person on this planet has the ability to utilize all of these gifts, to access the Akashic records, to have mediumship abilities, to do all of these things. Everybody can do all of these things. It's just a matter of how much it's being blocked, how much trauma there is surrounding a particular subject matter. I know that for me, for example, astral travel was something that I was terrified of because I experienced something as a child in this lifetime that terrified me while I was astral traveling, and completely shut that down entirely. Was like, nope, never doing that again. Right.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes that can happen where if you have experiences in previous lifetimes or in this lifetime that limits you to the power and the beautiful gifts that you have, that is what's being uncovered right now. That's part of your spiritual ascension.
Yeah, absolutely.
That brings us to the next question about the progression of someone's spiritual ascension. When you are doing this light code work, does it automatically make room and allow that person to raise their vibration, or are there other things that need to be done?
Absolutely. It will raise your vibration if that is what you're wanting to work on. I always have a consultation with the people that I work on, and they have an obvious reason for coming to me. Sometimes it is because they want to start a family, but they're not getting pregnant. Sometimes it might be because they are not able to let go of past relationships and they're terrified of falling in love. Sometimes it's because of money and business and they feel like they're not reaching their goals. So we always start with whatever it is that they want to work on. But like I mentioned before, when I start to poke around, when I start to sort of activate all of the grids, outside of what they have come to me for, there is always more that we can heal. And every healing session that you do, you will start to feel more open, more available. It's only a couple of people that have come to me for the particular reason of opening up spiritually. And very recently, I had a girl, something terrifying happened to her. Well, it was terrifying to her because she was a child and she didn't understand. And she had,
Exactly.
yeah, completely, blocked herself down. But her grandmother has a gift, and her mother has a gift, and her sister has a gift. And she was finally feeling like, you know what, I'm ready to kind of start to open myself up to this. But then I tend to do something slightly different. Of course, I release the trauma. So I release the low vibrational codes that she might hold around what spirituality is. So she believes spirituality is scary. She believes that something bad is going to
Mm,
happen. So we need to
right.
release all of that first, and we need to imprint new codes. So we are imprinting new codes together with the coders from the 5D realm, because they are actually the ones doing the coding upgrades. They are the computer techniques, as I like to call them. Like, they are the ones doing that. I'm sort of just guiding them and requesting, what to do. And then we started to do more connection with her spirit guides. So I started to just activate her field to be a little bit more open and available to receive guidance from her guides. And then it's a journey from there, how much she wants to progress. But it was the same for me. I turned it off for a very, very long time. because I had a couple of sessions when I was younger where I healed somebody by accident and
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I had no idea what was going on, and it's only happened to me once. It hasn't happened afterwards in that particular way. But I don't know. Have you seen the movie Green Mile?
I have.
You have. And
Yes.
you know, when he places his hands on it, he sucks in all of this density, all of this darkness, and then he
Yes.
exhales it. That
Yep.
literally happened to me. And that was the
Wow.
first healing experience. And I was 14 years old when this happened to me. And it terrified me. I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? And
I can
yeah,
imagine.
and I was so scared because my friend fell down from a tree and almost broke her legs. And I kind of ran over and, put my hands on her and literally just took all of that pain out, and she healed very quickly afterwards. So I knew that I've done something good, but I was scared because I didn't know what it was. So
Mm,
I turned it off until in my early 20s. So that was like almost 10 years that I also shut it down. So it's very, very common, and that's why it's so important and so amazing now when we have the internet and Instagram, because I feel like there's so much information and knowledge available to everyone who are curious. So, and podcasts as well, podcasts are amazing. Like even me, I'm learning so much every day. But yes, healing is almost a foundation of your own spiritual journey, because you need to heal whatever you're holding, especially if you want to go into becoming a spiritual guide or healer for other people. It's very important that you are at least working on yourself. You don't have to be healed, but
right.
knowing yourself and knowing your own journeys and what you're going through.
When you start facing those things that you were fearful of, you almost always realize that it wasn't as scary as you thought it was going to be, that it's completely different
Mm,
from what you thought it was going to be, right?
absolutely.
It's almost as if we make those fears so much bigger in our 3D headspace, right?
Yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
that's what makes it much more scary than it actually is.
Yeah, well, that's our physical bodies are holding the trauma, and sometimes we can almost become familiar. It's a familiar space to be scared to be in that place. And the most scary thing to can actually be just to take one step forward, one step through it. And as soon as we're on the other side, it's like you say, we're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. Like, what have I been, holding on to for all these years? Because I was
Yeah.
terrified of seeing ghosts as well. And I was like, oh,
Oh, me
I don't want to
too.
see a
Me too.
ghost. I was so scared I was going to see, a little girl like in the mirror. And I was terrified. And now I've realized that, they, first of all, they always come through in the most beautiful form because they want you to see them and remember them at their best.
Absolutely.
And also, often I don't actually see the spirit. I just receive the message. So
Hmm.
yeah, no, it's a big journey. But I loved what you said as well, that everything that we receive is not ours, it's not coming from us. It's given to us to be shared. So if you do
Hmm.
have a gift, or if you are curious to developing your gift, you should really try to do it, because it's your mission. You came here with this power and this ability, and it's made to be shared.
Indeed. As well as the fact that when you confront those childhood fears, like you said, I was also really super afraid of ghosts. And obviously media as well as television and the things that you ingest social media wise, all of those things can contribute to that fear because obviously they sensationalize, they make it, entertaining for a movie if you're watching some sort of paranormal type movie or show. It's something that when you are actually investigating and taking a look at some of these things and your gifts that you have, when you have really credible sources and when you have, like you said, all of the information that we do right now, it allows you to get out of that fear. It allows you to have those resources and reach out to the support systems and people like yourself to be able to help get you out of that fearful energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as I mentioned, I work very closely with the Arcturian Council of Light, which
Mhm.
is one of the most sort of advanced, I like to say, civilizations. When I started to realize that they were working through me and channeling through me, and I started Googling them a little bit, I got a little bit scared because there is a
Yeah.
lot, especially when we start to look at sort of the higher civilizations, aka aliens, that sort of
Mm-hmm.
energy, that there is a lot of information that can kind of put you off a little bit, but they are extremely helpful, and they enjoy to co-create with us like so much. So it's very
Mm,
easy to receive guidance from them, and we just need to show them that we are available, and we just have to do that by thought. So next time,
right.
whenever you sit down in a meditation, when you feel ready, just invite them in and invite their guidance, and they can come down and actually do upgrades on you as well. It happens very often to me. So they come down, and you can feel them working on your body. And I can see, I work a lot with like the light priestess, and she's standing right there in front of me, and they're imprinting all of these codes in my heart space. And it's such a beautiful experience. And nothing will ever be done with any negative thought or low vibrational energy. If we protect ourselves before you open up in a meditation. My grandmother always liked to say, ask for protection from the highest available spirit, because you don't want
Mm-hmm.
some little intern that just started. So make sure that you.
I love that.
Yeah, so she was always like, make sure that you ask for protection from the highest one. So, I always do that every day, and I know that I'm protected, and it will, everything that happens, within my upgrades and within my meditations, it's going to be for the best. So, yeah, but it can be hard to release that fear. So finding a practice that, feel good for you, and taking those little steps towards feeling more open and receivable.
Right. And when you have a really sort of solid foundation of communication with your guides, the one thing that anyone can do is set boundaries. So if there's something that scares you, for example, and you're still working through that fear, you can tell your guides and your higher self, you can say, hey, look, I'm not feeling particularly happy about, let's say, seeing a spirit or seeing little balls of energy everywhere, or, whatever it is that
Mm.
you're fearful of. You can actually say, you know what, right now, I don't want to see that. Can you please communicate it to me in a different way? And that way they can use one of your other clairs, one of your, either clairaudient or clairvoyant through meditation. You can see it like a movie going on in your head, that type of thing. So you can ask your guides to present it to you in a way that's not scary for you in this
Oh, I
moment.
love that. Yeah.
And then basically, as you're working through the fear, the one thing that I've realized is that my guides will test me. So they'll see if I'm really working through the fear or if it's complete by giving me a little glimpse of something. And if it freaks me out, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, she's not ready for that yet. Okay, cool. So, and then once I have worked through something, then they start showing me the full spectrum of what it is I'm working on. And then and I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm ready.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. So you can work hand in hand with your guides to make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love to use my gatekeepers for that job.
Mm.
I don't know. I always, not always, mostly, I find gatekeepers a little bit lazy. They're very, very funny sort of spirit. Like their vibes are very funny. But I do know that if you do give them a job, they take it very seriously, and they like to have something to do. So obviously they are looking after us when we sleep, but you can also, exactly what you said, you can give them that job during a meditation as well. And very often they will come forth and do it. Use your guides. That's what they are there for. But sometimes we forget about them, don't we?
We do,
Mhm.
especially if you are in fear, right? If
Yeah.
you're in fear, you forget to actually ask for help with that fear. Because like you said, sometimes the fear can be paralyzing, sometimes that pain body can be compounded upon itself. Let's put it that way. So if you're in pain, if you're in sadness, the more sadness you have, the more sadness you can actually bring towards you, because you might be living in a past memory or something else going on within you, and then you start getting in that worry. So it all compounds upon each other, in which case it kind of prevents you from being in that space to really take a step back and say, hey, oh right, I need to ask my guides for help for this, because I don't know what's going on, but I know that I need help with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why it's so important to have almost like a daily practice and communication with your guides. Even if it's
Absolutely.
something such small as just good morning and good night and thank you when
Mm-hmm.
something good happens, but just establishing that connection and really feeling like they are your friends and they're around you all the time. And they love when we give them jobs, when we ask them for help, because imagine how many of them are out there and they never have anything to do because, their particular humans are very shut down. And so
Right.
really use them, they love it. So yeah, absolutely, I agree with everything you're saying.
Beautiful. So the next thing I want to ask you about is something that absolutely fascinates me. This is not a gift that I have cultivated yet. So talk to us a little bit about light language and how that comes into play with light codes.
Light language can come through. So I am obviously a channeling medium, which I was even before I started channeling light language. But in
Mm.
my courses where I teach about light code healing and light language, everyone is it's kind of able to activate the light language. And it's not hard. You need to activate your throat chakra, whatever practice you have to do that.
Mine was doing that earlier. I had to mute myself because I'm like my cat was here like making all kinds of noise. I'm like, "Sweetie." Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. They want to be involved.
First, I started channeling the light language through writing. So I was writing into the air above the client that I was working on. Maybe I was writing the codes into the air. I was activating the energy that way. I was upgrading the codes that way. And then at some point, it just started coming through my voice, and I do play the crystal singing bowls as well, and I've always been very drawn to music. I love music. I love singing. I'm
Mhm.
not bad at it, but I'm not good at it. Like I wouldn't go on, X Factor or something like that. But I'm
Right.
not like super bad. But I do enjoy it, and I realized at a very early age that I felt very good when I was singing. So I've always known that my voice has a power behind it. It has a healing power behind it. So once I was drawing the light codes into the air above a client, and I could just hear them. I could hear them, and it was as if my body was speaking them and saying them. But then it was very funny because then when I've done it a couple of times with clients, it started to happen randomly. So like if I was out walking, for example, especially in nature where my soul has a lot of space and there's a lot of information to me to soak up, I could just like start talking like light language when I was out on my walk. And people walking their
Mm.
dogs, they were looking at me so funny, like, what language is you speaking? And obviously I realized I was talking to the trees, I was talking to the plants, I was talking to the energy in the park and helping to shift and heal that way. So it's available as well to everyone, but just activate your throat chakra. Obviously, call in and connect with one of the higher civilization, whichever one you feel drawn to. If that is reptilians, Lemurians, the Arcturian Council of Light, there's so many higher civilization, energetic civilizations, and give them your permission to use your voice as a channel for healing. And when the sound comes through, sometimes it can be very gentle, it's very soft, it's very beautiful, and sometimes it can be quite sharp. It doesn't sound very pretty. But
Mm.
every time that I do it, whoever is listening, you can feel it. You feel it's almost like you're speaking directly to the soul and not to the human ears.
Yes. It's interesting because there's a lot of fear surrounding channeling, especially if you grew up in any particular religion.
Mm.
I grew up Roman Catholic, so the idea of speaking in tongues was definitely mentioned, but it's not something that was encouraged, right? It's not something that is looked at as something that is super, super positive, and it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
When it comes to channeling, I want to explain it to our listeners. It's you. Somebody is not taking over your body, but it is the energy that is coming through you, and you are speaking it as if that energy is able to communicate. And it's something that happens very naturally when you get into that space. And it's not something that instills fear because actually, while it's happening, you feel such incredible peace.
Mm,
So once you get over that initial fear of, oh gosh, I don't want to channel, or I don't want this light language to come through me because I don't want somebody taking over my body, so to speak. It's not like that at all. And I want to sort of put people's mind at ease that the feeling that you get when you're getting that channeling and when you're getting that information, it is a beautiful, beautiful feeling. It's not scary at all. So I
no.
just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. Because yeah, even for me, and again, it has to do with what you mentioned before, the way that the media and movies and online things are sort of always making it demonic or making it very
Right?
negative, and like yeah, possession of the body and stuff like that. It's not like that at all. It's again, it's just light codes for me. It's just light codes that are given a sound. And I know that every single sound, every single light code that I am channeling, it's healing someone or something. Like it's needed to come out and be said. And I do remember one time I did a channeling in an event that I had, and afterwards there was a girl there, and she came up to me and she said it was incredible. I could feel every single word or every single light code that you were speaking. I could feel it in my body, like integrating into the body. So no,
Mm,
light language is extremely beautiful, and there's many healers out there that uses it. So maybe as a first interaction, maybe listen and receive before you allow
mm,
yourself to open up and be a channel, because you want to understand also what you are giving when you are doing it. And
right.
of course, when I do it, even though I am healing somebody else or I'm healing humanity, I'm also receiving everything that I'm giving. And I think that's where that sensation of peacefulness and healing and just wonderful divinity within you comes from, because we are receiving as well.
Absolutely. And it's funny because whenever I do a session, and I imagine it's the same for you, whenever I do a session for anyone, not only am I helping that person, but I am also receiving messages on a regular basis during sessions.
Yes.
I'm also receiving healing on a regular basis. It's a co-creation as opposed to us just doing work on other people, so to speak, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's exactly what I meant, like in the beginning when we opened the podcast today, that we are working not only on the person we're working with, we're working on ourselves and also all of humanity, because we're all connected, and everything channels through.
Exactly, exactly. I would like to take a moment to tell everyone listening to stay tuned to the very end of the podcast today, because Maria is going to be giving us a little light language channel for you to take in and to integrate after we're finished with the interview.
Yes, and I'm very excited with that.
I am too. I am too.
Mm.
Just a couple of more questions I have in regards to the light code healing, because I know that whenever we do this type of healing work, there are a lot of challenges that can come with moving this energy through your body. So, a lot of times we'll go through purging, or by means of crying, or by means of allergies, or some sort of, physical symptom that can happen when you're going through this type of healing work. What kind of challenges do you see from your clients after they receive this light code healing? And how do you help them to deal with whatever is happening in the aftermath?
Yeah, so I can start by sharing something that happened to me.
Yeah.
I had started working with light code healing with my clients, and I could feel that I was in need of an upgrade. I like to think of us almost like computers. Sometimes we need a little bit of like a reboot. And I had recently gone through my divorce, and even though I was healing very well, I felt like I needed some help. So I reached out to my coach, who's been working with me, and she did a session on me. And after 2 days, I actually had to go to the hospital because I thought that I had food poisoning, because I was being sick constantly, constantly, constantly. So that was like a massive understanding for me that, wow, this work that we are doing is really affecting our bodies. Obviously, the work that we
Right.
were doing together was extremely, extremely deep, and I don't go that deep with my clients. I'm a little bit more gentle than what she is because
Sure,
she was
sure.
like, she can handle it. I'm just gonna do everything together, and we did this massive session. And yeah, I was physically ill. I was purging. I was purging everything that I've been holding. You know, my anger towards my ex-husband, my sadness. You know, the grief as well. It's
Mm,
extreme grief, anything that we separate from, if that is changing a job or changing a partner or changing a flat, you know, there will be a process of grief in, you know, giving that up. So
mm,
that's when I understood that, wow, like this work that we are doing in the energetic field is definitely, you know, reacting and manifesting through our physical field as well. Sometimes with my clients, though, as I mentioned, I like to go very gently. So I always combine my light healing sessions with energy healing or sound healing, something to sort of settle the vibrations a little bit after we have been there and poked around and update all the codes that needs to be updated. I always
right.
invite my clients to lay down and I do a very gentle sound bath, or I do energy healing, or maybe some crystal healing if they need some anchoring and grounding. So the light code healing will always be combined with something else when they work with me. But what I have found, a lot of tears, obviously, and a
Yes,
lot of
always.
tears. I think, yeah, like they're probably wondering why I'm going through so many tissues, you know, where I buy my supplies. It's a lot of tears, a lot of tears, and sometimes people say to me, "I'm crying, but I don't even know why I'm crying," you know, and it's just let it out, let it out, let it out. Tears and crying is such a purifying experience for the emotional body and the physical body. So it's super healthy to cry. So crying, definitely. I have had some stomach cramps, especially if we're working on releasing anger. You know, anger is often held in our liver. So, you know, if
Mm,
you're working on releasing anger and inner child healing, a lot of time that can show up as some stomach cramps, some a little bit of liver cramp, kidneys as well. If I do any sort of work on children and wanting to have a family, very often it might be a bit of a bloated belly, you know, some cramping, maybe your period will come on a little bit earlier. So it completely depends. But I would say 85% of the time there will be some sort of physical manifestation of the energetic
right.
work that we are doing. But I always say, you know, changes are good, shifts are good, whatever it is, just let it be. And it always eases off in a couple of days. But yeah, no, there definitely will be something physically happening.
Yes. It's interesting because I do the exact same thing after my sessions. I tell all of my clients, if you are crying for the next 48
Yeah,
hours, it's completely normal. It's completely normal. Give yourself the space and the time to allow yourself to do that, because
yes,
the longer you hold it in, the bigger that purge is going to be at the end, right?
exactly.
If you allow it to just come and don't hold it back, then it's going to be much easier on you than if you were to try to suppress that. The other thing that I also want to mention, and I have mentioned this in a previous podcast as well, is that when you are going through these purging cycles, and after you have done a lot of this beautiful, beautiful work, if you do have symptoms that you feel you need to visit a doctor for or you need to go to the hospital for, just do it, because even if there's nothing wrong, even if the doctor finds nothing going on, at least it will put your mind at ease that, yes, okay, this is just purging from the energetic work that I just did. Sometimes they do manifest in ways that are just sort of normal 3D afflictions, like, I mentioned allergies, or as you mentioned, Maria, upset stomach or cramps or things like that. So listen to your body. That is the biggest thing. Listen to your body, listen to your guides to understand what is the best thing for you right now in this moment.
Absolutely. And I always have, you know, some standard things that I think are very important to share whenever you are going to do some sort of healing work, whatever it's Reiki or Akashic readings, or you know, even a tarot reading, whenever you're going to work energetically, just always making sure that you're not under the influence of anything, ideally not even caffeine on the day. And I always also say to my clients, make sure that you have time after, give yourself the rest of the day off to just do whatever you want to do. Cravings are very common as well. You can have cravings for like the craziest food. Like I've been craving barbecue, like cauliflower chicken wings, like, these fake chicken wings they do with barbecue sauce. So it's very, yeah, like it can manifest in like all these different ways whenever we do some side of work. And exactly what you said, just give your body exactly what it needs, and just making sure that you have that time, after a session to really just be with you. I think that's very important.
One thing that is absolutely for sure is that when you are under the influence of anything, and some people are often curious as to why caffeine is such a big deal, but once you start getting really sensitive to the energies, and as you're doing this work, you'll start to actually feel the difference within your body.
Mm.
I gave up caffeine years ago because my body would not tolerate it anymore.
No, I'm the same, just shaking like a leaf. I was shaking it. So
Yes.
I treat myself now, like on the weekend, I can have a cup of like decaf coffee. But obviously,
Yes.
because I can feel people's energy, and it was something with my ex husband. He was Italian, so he was having like 7 to 8 espressos every day, and I could
Oh, wow.
feel his energy just like vibrating when we were sitting on the sofa in the evening. And I was like, I can't sit that close to you. I was like, can you move over there? Because it really does affect your energy, and anything really that manipulates the energy, even being completely a lot with your phone or in front of the computer, all of these things will kind of affect your energy. So yeah, no, it's very interesting.
Yeah. And it also changes no matter where you are in your journey, you might have something different come up. So, as you were saying, so I used to drink a ton of coffee. Like way back when, I used to drink so much coffee. I'm a huge coffee fan. And then I had to switch to decaf. And then it came to a point in the last couple of years that I couldn't even drink decaf anymore,
Mm,
because decaf does still have a tiny bit of caffeine in it, but just that small amount. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
it was too much for me. So, be gentle with yourself if there are things that are really having an effect on you. Do some, sort of elimination things where, okay, I'm going to cut out coffee and see if that makes me
Mm,
feel better, if it feels better within my body to not do that, And then you can kind of investigate to see what it is that is actually sort of amplifying, because it's not that it's just the caffeine. It is the caffeine in tandem with the healing process, with the purging and with the upgrades. So the caffeine by itself is not necessarily what's causing all of the problems. It is that on top of which is amplifying all the other work that you're doing energetically.
exactly, because maybe the root of everything is some sort of addiction trauma, whatever that is addiction to. And maybe it's actually
Right.
manifesting as an addiction to caffeine or to technology or to dating or whatever we become, addicted to. It can be so much. So it is very important that whenever you decide, like, I'm gonna embark on my healing journey, to really plan for it. It's not something that should just be done like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and see a healer and it's all gonna be fixed. There is so much
Right.
more work to it, even though just one session of light code healing can completely transform how you are feeling and thinking and acting. But you still need to do, the accompanied work to make the most out of it. And so yeah, but it's an amazing journey, right? Once you're on it, it's like, yeah, I want more.
It's incredible.
Mm,
It's incredible. And that's when you're going through that purging cycle, though, it can feel like you're going backwards. It
yeah.
can feel like I'm not doing something really beautiful for myself. Like, this sucks,
Yeah.
but I guarantee you that once you get out the other side of that purging work, it is so much more beautiful to see everything that you've done. And then when you look back on how far you've come to the point where you are now, it's incredible to see. And quite frankly, in my opinion, the journey doesn't stop. It never stops. You're always going to be learning something new. You're always going to be integrating something new. I know that the guides and everybody is always giving you new information on a regular basis, and yeah, and to be open to all of that at any given moment. So I don't want to say that you're going to be going through that purging process always and on a regular basis, but what I'm saying is that constant learning and upgrading is always going to be happening.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well to explore different practices, because spirituality and healing is definitely not like one fit for all. Like
Right.
I am not a meditation type, for example. Like before I found my way of meditating, of receiving upgrades and having a communication with the Arcturian Council of Light, I never sat down and closed my eyes and let things be quiet, because that doesn't work for me. But I know that that's,
Mm-hmm.
the way that many, many other people go. So keep exploring and experiencing, and, find different practices and healing modalities. And yeah, it's such an amazing world out there. And then when you find the one that suits you, just, yeah, dive in, because it is amazing. And yes, like you're saying, things will change. They might feel, why am I arguing with this person? Why doesn't that person call me anymore? Why don't I have any friends? And these things can happen, but you will meet other people and that are on the same journey as you. And you might be, drawn or guided to moving to a new place and experiencing new things. So there's a lot of beauty that comes with your healing journey as well. So yeah.
Absolutely, it does. And the one thing I wanted to ask you, you did touch on it a little bit, was about things that you do that complement the light code healing. You mentioned the singing bowls and music, but everybody is different. And I know that you also do Reiki. So would
Yes.
you follow up a session, a light code session with Reiki? And if so, how long would you wait before doing a Reiki session between a light code healing and a Reiki session?
So the way that I work is that if you come to me for a healing, you can't book like, oh, I want to book a sound healing, or I want to book light healing, or I want to book energy healing, like Reiki. I am always working guided by my guides and the person's guides. So with me, you just book a healing session, and then
Okay.
we will have a short consultation when we start. And I will tell you what my guides are telling me. So I will say, okay, so today we're going to do this, and then I would recommend following up with this. So it always changes. But
Mm,
often my sessions always contain of two different modalities, especially if I'm feeling that you need light code healing. We will start with a light code healing. And as I mentioned, this can be quite deep. There will be emotions coming up, there will be trauma release. Everything needs to be brought to the surface to be able to be released. And then your body might vibrate a little bit, you might cry, as I'm changing all of this coding as well, I am channeling. So sometimes afterwards, if somebody asks me, "Oh, what did you mean by that?" I don't remember, because it wasn't me doing this work. It was all channeled. You
yeah.
will experience this a little bit in the activation, in the healing that we're gonna do in a little bit. But so I will start with that, and then it's almost like they leave my body and they kind of bring me back, and we see how much time is left over, and then they will tell me what that person now needs. So very
Right.
often the same session will be light code healing, followed by maybe Reiki/energy healing, or crystals, or singing bowls. Because the light code healing is so strong, I like to almost imagine the light code healing as if, yeah, you're poking around, you're upgrading your computer, you're there, you're deleting files, you're imprinting new ones. It's a lot of sort of big energetic work taking place. So it's very beautiful for the person that I'm working with just to lay down and then just receive some beautiful either singing bowl vibrations or some Reiki healing, just to sort of settle everything a little bit, to let everything integrate. But then I always say wait at least 2 weeks for another session. Because sometimes,
Right.
as we've been talking about, the purging, the changes, the imprinting needs to take place and be completed before we can move on to the next step. So I always recommend a couple of weeks between sessions.
Right. And then often, I'm sure it's the same for you. Often I will get an actual time frame. So if they're not to get another session for another month or another 2 months, the guides will actually tell me that.
Yeah, absolutely. I always ask. So the coders that I work with, so the coders from the 5D grid, I always ask them how long will this process take, and I can say to the person I'm working with, okay, so it's going to take 48 hours. It's going to take 4 days, it's going to take a week, so they know as well to be extra gentle with themselves during the time that this work is taking place.
Right. And the other thing that I always say, drink so much water. Drink
Mhm.
so much water.
It's true. It's a purification of the body. Yeah, you
It
definitely
is.
let it out, wash it out. And even just having baths and foot baths, everything with water. I love water, but yeah, just
Me too.
using as much water as you can around you, within you, underneath you, everywhere.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Okay, so if you are ready, I would love for us to get into that beautiful space and can do what you do best with the light codes and light language.
Perfect. So I was thinking today, because of everything that's been going on in the world, there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety around. So I am going to guide you all through a heart activation today. And we are going to poke around a little bit within the light codes of fear. And we are going to imprint some new codes of love, compassion, understanding, and courage. So if you are not feeling that you are ready to work on this, please do not listen. Because
Yes.
but when you are ready, come back to it. But if today is not the day, that's absolutely fine. But it will be here, and I will imprint this into the quantum field. So even if you come back over and over and over again, you will receive the same healing and the same guidance each and every time. So, there's a couple of things to know that when I do these healings, obviously, like we've talked about, I am channeling, which means that sometimes the sound comes through in a different way. So, you might hear me whispering, you might hear me clicking my tongue or clicking my fingers like this. And I'm just doing certain things that I'm being guided to do to activate the energy. And it's also a way for the energy to flow through me. So, yeah, just so you know that.
Beautiful.
Okay. So, wherever you are in the world, just taking a comfortable seat, allowing yourself to drop down into the place where you are seated, feeling your sitting bones, the body, the weight of the body, letting your shoulders relax, closing your eyes, and softening your jaw. Take a couple of breaths in your own pace, in your own time, allowing for all of your awareness to come into this space. And then we're going to breathe together all the way down into the lower belly and let it go. One more breath in. This time we're breathing into our solar plexus. Breathing in. Feel your ribcage expand and exhale. And our final breath is right into the deepness of the heart. Breathing in and let it go. Knowing that all the emotions that are coming into you right now are welcome. All the feelings, all the experiences that might be flashing within your mind and in front of your eyes, they are welcome. Knowing that you, exactly the way that you are and everything that you have gone through, is perfect. Taking a moment to call in the guides, calling the angels that are floating around you, anchoring this recording into the quantum field so that each and every one of you coming back, listening in on this recording, will receive the required upgrades, the available upgrades for you. Requesting that your heart field is now activated, requesting that the grids around the heart are now activated, calling in the highest power of light, the source's light, whose light, God's light, your light, the universe's light. Source's light now channeling through the crown of your head down into your heart, starting to activate your heart field, filling you up with beautiful golden light. Each inhale you take is fueling this light, and this light starting to expand through your rib cage, activating your heart. That's it. Breathe in bigger, wider. Allow for your energy to expand around you, beneath you, above you, creating a beautiful golden bubble of light, and you're sitting safe right within it. Calling in the Arcturian Council of Light, requesting that the Golden Light Goddess places her hand on top of your crown. Receiving the light healing from the Light Goddess, receiving the upgrades, the coding from the Arcturian Council of Light. Requesting that your heart grids are now activated. Requesting that everything that you are fearful of, everything that you are scared of is now dissolved. calling in new coding of light, activating imprinting codes of compassion, codes of an unconditional love for your fellow man, for everything of human form on the human earth, requesting that your body receives loving light, requesting that the body is now able to receive loving light from us, from the humanity around you. Requesting that the golden beautiful light around you now channels down into Gaia, into the earth, activating the earth grids, integrating the earth grids, connecting you energetically into the earth, activating the caves of crystals deep down inside the earth, the rose quartz crystals, requesting that the energy of the rose quartz crystals now channels up into your light body. Ukare kania katurai konoro katsanara titatuara kudwara tanoati sanere. Ukia kanuare makuwa sanara titua sanara titara kete 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 kete. Ukerua kinsenuero makatinara kokakora wasagara kenara kitsene. Ukan serara kuiru wiru 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 wiru. Ukuene kanisintay wakasanaku wakweksanaka tenwakasanaya. Allowing for this beautiful transmission, all of the love and all of the guidance that you are able to receive, allowing for it to be imprinted into your heart field, releasing any remaining distortions of fear, anxiety, worry, releasing any distortions around control, around submission, releasing any distortions, any fear you might hold around being locked in. Imprinting new codes of eternal freedom, imprinting new codes of your soul freedom, reconnecting you with your soul star, realizing that you have all the earth and all the heavens and all the cosmos to play in. You are free. You are free. Taking a moment, inhaling deep into your lower belly. Let it go. Thanking the Anchurian Council for the light and the guidance, thanking the 5D workers, the grid workers, the healers, the gatekeepers, the angels, for all of the guidance, for all of the healing that they just gave us. When you feel ready, place your hands on your heart. Feel the warmth of your hands channeling into your heart. Feel your body become aware of your surroundings. Feel the weight of your body on your seat. And that beautiful golden bubble around you. On each breath that you take in, it goes a little bit smaller and comes a little bit closer to your body. Almost like we are deflating a balloon. On each inhale, we're just pulling it in, into the heart. In, that's it. Breathing into the heart, pulling back your new, restored, activated heart energy back into the heart. And then when you're ready, place your palms together, keep your eyes closed and just rub your hands together. Create a little bit of heat around between your palms. And then place your palms on your eyes. Feel the warmth of your palms channeling into your eyes. Your new loving eyes who will see so much more love and compassion. Who will feel so much more freedom and space. And when you're ready, you can slowly start to flicker your eyes behind your hands, flicker your eyelids. And then slowly, bringing the hands down, letting the light back in. And that's us.
Wow. That was so powerful. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Maria.
you're more than welcome. Thank you for giving me the space.
Yes, absolutely.
So you can feel a little bit dizzy. It's normal for the body maybe to move a little bit. Maybe you're feeling very thirsty. Maybe you want to lay down for 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. As we spoke about, just give your body whatever you need. But it's just a very short, sort of powerful heart activation. So, yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. And as Maria said earlier, you can come back and listen to that anytime you want, and you will get different things from it each time.
Yeah.
So, whenever you feel called, make sure to come back, and you can listen to that channel at any moment. I will actually put the timestamp of the channel in the show notes so you know exactly where to go if you've already listened to the whole episode. The one thing I wanted to mention is that Maria has been kind enough to offer for our listeners only here at the Heart of You the possibility to book an online 60-minute healing session for only £50 instead of the normal price of $75. I will also put that link in the show notes, and it will also be linked on social media. If you are feeling called to work with Maria, feel free to head to that link and book a session. Now, I wanted to also ask you, Maria, how people can get in touch with you. Can you just give us your social media as well as your website and any other information you would like?
Yes, absolutely. So I am practicing under the name of Daughter North because I am a daughter. I'm from Sweden, so I'm from the north. So it's
Mm-hmm.
Daughter North. So I'm Daughter North on Instagram, and my website is daughternorth.com. I am also opening a new sort of business which will be a little bit more focused on events. And I'm working together with a dear friend of mine called Barbara May. And you can find us on Instagram under We Are Mystic Sisters. So it's Daughter North or We Are Mystic Sisters. And I am always available for a chat or a little check in. If you are not ready to jump in and book a full one-to-one session with me, I am offering a free consultation, so a little energy call, I call them, which is just a 15-minute chat where we can connect. I can give you a quick scan of your energy, maybe pull a couple of oracle cards to see what comes up, and then just make sure that we're a good fit, and we can talk about what sort of healing modality that might be the best suitable one for you. So you have a couple of options there if you're not quite ready to, jump in and book a healing session straight away. So I look so much forward to hearing from all of you, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Maria. Also mentioned that Barbara May has already been on the podcast at this point. Now, as we're recording, we have not recorded yet, but time is all happening simultaneously, right? so
Exactly.
so at this point that this episode is being aired, you have already heard the episode that we've recorded with Barbara May. So they will already be familiar with her while they are listening to this episode. Would you like to share with us a little bit about these events that you're going to be doing, or is it still sort of hush hush at the
No, no,
moment?
no, absolutely. I love to give you a little sneak preview. So yeah, so me and Barbara May, we have kind of put our energies together, and we have created Mystic Sisters, which is going to be focused around events. So that might be, hen parties or birthday parties, but we're also going to be organizing our own events or public events where you can, come and attend. We are going to be launching a podcast as well. And there's also going to be a big blog on the website. So weekly blogs where we will be collaborating with other spiritual practitioners. And the aim of Mystic Sisters is to guide people who are going through their sort of spiritual journey. Either they maybe are just starting and they need guidance and reliable sources, or maybe they want to go deeper and they maybe want to, sign up for one of our coaching programs where we're really going to start to expand their spiritual capabilities and abilities. But we are mostly going to be doing these events where you can come and you can enjoy learning about crystals and meditation. We are also going to be doing some themed events, which are going to be the ones suitable for hen parties and birthday parties and things like that. So there will be a lot going on. But we really want to create a community where open-minded spiritual people can come and share their experiences, but also learn from what we already have gone through. And we're going to be those mystic sisters that you can have a chat with and you can ask questions, and you can just really learn and enjoy this spiritual journey and the whole sort of ascension that the earth is going through right now. As a collective, let's come together. And that's what Mystic Sister will be about, a online spiritual community where you can find guidance and attend events and extend your own spiritual knowledge.
I cannot wait to see that unfold. I cannot wait. That's going to be so amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. That's so great. Maria, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. This has been just an incredible experience, and I love chatting with you, and I hope that we can collaborate and co-create another time together.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so wonderful. And the whole energy of what you're doing is just so amazing. And I'm so grateful to be part of it. So, yeah, it's such a pleasure. Thank you.
I want to thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to walking this journey with you and pointing the way on your spiritual journey. If you are interested in learning more about me and the sessions that I do, feel free to go to my website at infinitesoullove.com.
On all social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Infinite Soul Love 1111.
Hey, and if you feel called, I would love it if you could rate The Heart of You on whatever streaming service you're using, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Please take a moment, give it a review. It really does help the channel. Thanks so much.